I am speaking on behalf of all American working class citizens right now. If you look behind me, those are all commuters. All these people are going to work, ready to slave their day away, most struggling to even make a living. Now, I'm going to be honest, we are all tired, and I'm going to make this demand for all of us. This demand is to small businesses, corporations, and our government. We deserve a livable wage, and we deserve affordable housing, healthcare, and food. And we aren't asking, we're demanding. And I'm not talking to the small businesses that are struggling. I'm talking to the businesses that have a lot of abundance. I'm talking about these people that are making $300,000, maybe $400,000 a year, that I know personally, that pay their employees $9 an hour. Enough is enough. And if you cannot afford a livable wage and can't give up some of your comforts in this world, then you don't deserve to be in business. Because last time I checked, we are a society and we are American. We're supposed to be proud and take care of each other. Greed has taken over everything. And again, I'm not just calling out small businesses. These corporations such as McDonald's, I saw a sign the other day hiring for $9. I saw a sign hiring for $12 down the other street. That is not a livable wage. People cannot do this. And these jobs just aren't for teenagers. People need to work. It's a necessity in society. If you want to enjoy these comforts, people have to work there and work there professionally. So they're going to be treated professionally. And I will tell you this, if you are a full-time worker in America, you deserve the right to live and be comfortable. Period. I'm not saying rich, I'm saying comfortable. And the thing that holds everyone back from this is greed. Greed, greed, greed. So people can have a bigger box to live in, more things to put in it, more toys to flaunt in front of people, more trips to show off, while other people suffer. This system should not be designed just for a couple people to be able to actually enjoy it and live extravagantly. The days of this are over, and it needs to end now. And I'm not asking for a violent revolution, but we need to step up right now. We are done. It is over. And one of the most effective ways we can spread this message is through social media. And I'm not trying to benefit myself, but I hope this video gets millions of likes, millions and millions, so that people who actually can see that we are done and we're standing together. So if you honestly like this message, like it and comment enough, because we're not asking anymore.
People are having a realization that indeed they have reached what is called the end game. Yeah, the truth is out there that American dream is just as good as dead. And what was left? A flower that everyone was trying to plow, a flower that everyone was trying to water. We call it hope. But I guess somebody called Mr. Donald Trump came either with a slasher or some sort of something that can uproot a flower and took it away, and he went with it. So what he left Americans with is what we call disillusionment. The beautiful flower called hope, the beautiful flower that they used to garden, that they used to water, thinking that someday things will change, America will get better. People are saying it as something that probably it might never happen. So American dream is dead. And the persons who are behind it is the American corporation. See, when there's so much resources concentrated in the few people, they control everything that you do, including how you wake up, whether you're going to your work, whether they decide you'll sleep in your house or not, because they own everything. They own you. They own every part of you. Only if they had the power to even own the oxygen that you're breathing, man, I believe majority of people would have been gone now. But that's just one thing that they cannot own. But the reality is out there. People used to see America as a land of opportunity. People used to see America as a land, as a place where grass is so much greener. The land of opportunity, the country of everyone's dream. When you talked about America, everyone stopped for a little bit to listen to you because that was a serious nation that people were talking about. But today, not really, because the truth is out there. And people are just learning that American dream is just as good as dead. And the people who are behind all this is the corporations. Yep, you heard me well. It's the corporations. They're the one that decide everything about your life. Brothers and sisters, this video is so revealing because it exposes everything that you might want to listen to when people talk about all these issues that are happening. Across the world. You might just want to listen because I believe that it's so much important. Now, I want to switch this video and then I'm going to be back. I'll be sharing my 2 cents in regards to this. And if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. But until then, let's see each other.
If a company pays workers so little that they need food stamps and you pay taxes that fund those food stamps, then congratulations, you're subsidizing that company. And nobody's doing it better than Walmart. Walmart wants you to think they're helping working families with low prices, but behind every rollback sticker is a business model built on poverty wages and funded by the taxpayers. Most Walmart workers aren't teenagers earning gas money. They're full-time workers stocking shelves, running registers, unloading trucks, 40 hours a week, and still qualifying for SNAP and Medicaid because pay is that low. A federal report listed Walmart among the top employers whose workers rely on public assistance just to survive. Here's where your wallet comes in. Government support for Walmart workers, food stamps, Medicaid, housing subsidies, cost taxpayers an estimated $6.2 billion every single year. Zoom in on one store and taxpayers are covering $900,000 to $1.75 million per Walmart location per year, just to fill the gap between poverty wages and a living wage. And the punchline, Walmart made almost $19.4 billion in profit in 2024 alone. So the issue isn't they can't afford higher wages, it's that they don't want to because the public is already paying the difference for them. And here's the trick most politicians and media never mention. Workers use SNAP because their wages are low, and where do the SNAP dollars get spent? At Walmart. In 2025, Walmart captured roughly 24% of all SNAP spending in the entire country. So taxpayers fund the benefits, and Walmart profits from the benefits. People say Walmart is good for the working class because things are cheap, but nothing is cheap when you pay for it twice. You get low prices at the register, and then you get a higher tax bill to subsidize the wages that keep those prices low. That's not a discount, that's a transfer of wealth upward. This isn't about shaming workers. This is about an economic system where a full-time job doesn't pay enough to live, and the taxpayer gets the bill so billion-dollar companies don't have to pay up.
Am I the only one noticing this, or does it feel like all companies are just pushing their limits? They are just trying to see how far will you pay for their service, their product. You know, restaurants, I don't know how we got to this point, but like an average drink now is around $20 at a restaurant. And you go look at any bottle at the grocery store, you know that bottle is, let's just say $40. We're paying for like one shot in that drink that we buy at a restaurant, 30 bucks. 20 bucks. Then we have subscriptions that are always raising their prices. And then the second that you want to quit, they're like, hey, hold on a second. Here's 2 months free on us. So then for me, it sounds like, okay, I've been paying more. So then they can give me this 2-month free offer when I try to leave. And then you have food like Lay's, which tried charging around $7, $8 for a bag of chips. And they realize, oh, you know what? People aren't paying this anymore. And how many times is this going to happen where it's just like all these companies are just going to continue raising prices until we say, yeah, we're good on that?
The government truly hates when we help each other and they don't get a cut of it. I just had a phone call with John from the Department of Agriculture. Good dude. Congratulated us for what we're doing on feeding kids. Hey, there's a bunch of food. And there was a dog. And he's like, hey, you need to get registered. And I was like, hey, no, I don't. And he was like, well, you know, you have got a lot of food that you're giving to people. I said, yeah, no different than Halloween. And he was like, well, you know, it's a one-time thing, so nobody's going to fuss about that. I said, yeah, this is a one-time thing too. He's like, well, 2 small meals, 2 snacks, and a drink per day. I said, yeah, I'm not going to go out and deliver to 1,700 kids every single day. I'm going to give it all at once. Like, if we're able to, obviously. But I was like, what are you going to do? Raid my house? Like, are you going to, like, follow me around in a car? Are you going to trespass onto my property if people come here to get meals? Like, I don't need to follow your rules and pay you money for things that we're doing, like, to help others. It's dried goods. This is insane.
A lot of people ask, and it's a valid question, like, what are billionaires going to do in the long term? Like, if we're all replaced by AI, like, who's going to buy their products? And there's a lot of nuance to that answer. But one important thing I feel that needs to be emphasized is these people don't think long term. They only think short term because they're grifters. And the grift is you get in and you get out and you hope you are not the last one holding the bag. If you think of like Enron or the '08 financial crisis or Bernie Madoff or even as recently as Sam Bankman-Fried, all these events, financial instruments, or people were praised as genius and this like next big thing and like this moneymaker, and they all were essentially a scam or were a financial instrument being used to scam the market. NFTs is another great example. AI will blow up in a bad way. And the devastating part is the people who are affected the most are everyday normal people whose lives and money and livelihood was played with for these people to get filthy rich on. I don't know who is going to take the responsibility when it does blow up, but I will say keep an eye out for what Sam Altman starts to do in the next couple months.
So when I was in high school, I wrote a paper arguing that if politicians had to live on minimum wage for just 1 year, policy in America would change overnight. For context, when I was in high school, when I wrote this paper, I was literally working 2 jobs while going to school. I remember being exhausted all the time, trying to balance work, school, home, transportation, responsibilities. And there were actively grown adults in government arguing about whether or not kids like me deserved free lunch. And that stuck with me for years because I feel like it perfectly summarizes how disconnected some of these people are from real life. You have politicians that are making 6 figures arguing over whether or not struggling teenagers deserve to eat lunch at school. Not luxury, not vacations, not handouts, food. Because a lot of American legislation feels incredibly tone deaf. And I think part of the reason is because many of the people making these decisions have never experienced real financial struggle a day in their lives. A lot of them come from generational wealth, elite schools, family connections, old money, corporate backgrounds. Like some of these people have literally never had to worry about their rent, never even rented, never had their electricity almost shut off, never skipped meals, never had to choose between groceries and gas, never experienced the exhaustion of living paycheck to paycheck. Yet they are the same people deciding minimum wage, healthcare access, housing policy, food assistance, student debt, maternity leave, and what poor people supposedly need to do better. And then people wonder why these policies feel so disconnected, because how can you properly solve a problem that you have never personally experienced? It's like me saying, oh, I've never struggled with addiction a day in my life, but I want to be in charge of the national addiction recovery programs. You can study something, you can read statistics, you can observe suffering from the outside, but lived experience matters. And I'm not saying that only poor people can be politicians, but I do think that there's something deeply broken about millionaires and career politicians lecturing the working class about budgeting and survival when they've never had to survive. I don't think it's only disconnect anymore either. They're also like extremely apathetic. Like these politicians sit in positions where they could materially improve the lives of millions of Americans. They could help raise wages, expand healthcare access, regulate housing costs, strengthen worker protections, make childcare affordable, reduce poverty on a massive scale. But instead, they spend their careers protecting corporate interests, lobbying groups, PACs, and wealthy donors, because that's where the money is. And there's something deeply ironic about holding one of the most powerful positions in the country and using that power to primarily enrich yourself. They know that these people are struggling. They know that Americans can't afford rent. They know that there's people drowning in medical debt. They know that there is families working multiple jobs to survive. But as long as the stock portfolios go up and campaign donations keep coming in and the corporations stay happy, they do not care you are suffering. People talk about corruption like it's hidden in a dark room somewhere. It's just watching them consistently pass legislation that benefits massive corporations over everyday Americans. And the craziest part is that the corporations are not the majority. The average American's not a billionaire. The average American's not a CEO. We are statistically closer to homelessness than to becoming millionaires. Most of us are like one medical emergency, one layoff, one car accident, one missed paycheck away from a financial disaster. Yet the political system is constantly structured around protecting the wealth of people at the very top, while all of us absorb the consequences. Because if politicians had to actually live off minimum wage for a year, I think minimum wage would increase very quickly. I think healthcare reform would suddenly become urgent. I think that affordable housing would magically become a bipartisan issue. I think paid maternity leave would probably stop being too expensive. Because suddenly these wouldn't just be statistics on paper, they would be personal. Because that's what it is. They do not care about you. You are very different from them. They don't look at us as them. We're like a whole other species.
In just over 30 days, I will be leaving the United States for good. I will come back for about a 2-week period just to finalize moving everything, but I will not be living in the United States after another 35 days or so. And while it's quite sad to say this, this has been my American dream for the past 2 years, is to get out of the country. And it's extra unfortunate because growing up, I completely fell for the notion that America is the greatest place on earth and that there is nowhere better to be. And I know people internationally who also believed this and thought that they were going to immigrate to America and that was their dream life. But this has also completely faded away for them. I was told all these things about how great America is and this is the place to be growing up, and I really look forward to it. But now that I'm older, I don't see any of what I was told was going to be here. In fact, I don't even really recognize the nation I live in now from what I thought it was as a kid. And, part of that is just growing up. And, I actually thought that is just how life goes. You get older, you get jaded by the world a little bit. Things start to lose their beauty and you start to lose that spark, that youthful spark within you. But then I leave the country, not just on little 1-2 week vacations, but in periods of time where I'm living in other parts of the world, and I don't experience that at all. Especially in Europe, I feel like I'm living in a place that is still full of soul and full of life and, full of joy. But I come back here and I don't see that. All I see is, get a job, get a career. That should be your life. There's nothing beyond your career, and what the rewards that are being promised from your career is just more consumerism. You're told to get a career so that you can buy more stuff and have more things. And, you also just live in a completely soulless environment. You drive down the street and it's just chain after chain after chain after chain. And it's even an inconvenience to drive. So at this point, I've started to realize this nation doesn't really have anything left for me. It's going to be incredibly difficult just for me to get an entry-level job here. Why would I stay here? And yeah, I am very blessed to be in a position where I can go move somewhere else and do things to get a career over there. But it is sad because I did expect that I would continue to love the nation the way I did when I was younger, but now I just don't feel, I almost feel like completely numb to this place. America doesn't even feel like a home to me anymore. It feels like a place where I was just brought up and I get the opportunities from it. And if I really want to live a fulfilling life, I need to go live elsewhere in the world. And people, other young Americans and even people on other parts of the world are starting to notice this too, that, America is just not anymore what it used to be. And that sort of promise is gone. And I think even now, Americans that lived 85 years ago wouldn't recognize the nation for what it is, and not just because of technological involvement or advancement. And, our communities have been completely eroded just so that we don't have to constrain the individual. And I don't think individualism is inherently bad, but it's gotten to the point where that individualism just kind of leads to more consumerism at the cost of eroding our communities. So it is really sad, but I wouldn't trade the opportunities I have now for anything else, but it is kind of sad that I've kind of grown these feelings of feeling numb towards my home nation, which I was told was so great and such an amazing place to live.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you are doing great. From wherever you're watching this video from, as you know, I'm your host and presenter Gene Stories, and thank you and welcome to the channel. After people noticing that their main enemy is not even black people, their main enemy is not about what the social media tell you, but their main enemy is the American corporation. Behind the mask, they're the ones who are making the life of Americans become so much difficult. And you'll understand this from the point that they decide for you everything. They have the power to decide for you everything. So people are talking about, greed. I had the first person talk about greed. American greed is what is making America be where it is today. And it's true. It is because of greed. It is because of thinking that if other groups of folks have it, then I'll lose it. Then let me screw it for all of us. That's what has landed America where it is today. So somebody said that greed isn't a law. It's a choice. Unfortunately, people are showing that they are old. Politicians give themselves raises because they can't live on 174,000 bucks a year. But we have to live on 40. And they take a third of that from us. It's really crazy. Politicians getting rich in office and calling themselves public servants, putting data centers next door without asking anyone if they want it there. It's crazy that they just waking up, going to any neighborhood and setting up all these data centers, and you cannot confront them, you cannot ask them anything. This is something that I've been seeing going on. Somebody say 3 words: unity, revenge, revolution. It's called the American dream because you have to sleep to believe it. That's according to George Carlin. People are just waking up from the sleep that George Carlin was talking about. Congress also get free healthcare for as long as they live. They literally have universal healthcare for themselves. Why do they get to have a government socialist program paid for by us taxpayers while we get effed screwed? Everyone is getting sick of this SHIT. I'm totally with this guy commenting on Walmart and their employees on food stamps. I've known this for years. Walmart is a monster business in America and should be forced to pay their employees well. I think you should understand how black folks have been treating these type of people that just want to pay people minimum wage and people who are working endlessly. Somebody said that if American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all property until their children wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. The issuing power should be taken from the banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs. That's according to Thomas Jefferson. America is a corporation that pays employees embarrassing wages. Most of wealthy live off generational trust fund and tell the poor workers, be happy. You have a job. Top managers with bonus get $500 a year, $500,000 a year, according to the government. $36 an hour. Basic living costs. Fairness will not come peacefully. Right. Somebody said that in Korea, accepting money during elections is legal. I cannot understand why the public in the US allow politicians funds to be accepted under the plausible pretext of lobbying. It is common sense to return exactly what you received, whether it be money or anything else. Since lobbying funds were received, it is natural to change the laws for the benefit of corporations. Seeing our politicians funding scandals have been disappearing in our country for some time now, it seems that all politicians are accepting money. Powerful figures around the world are taking various things from the US that I found absurd, such as the privatization of consumer goods and exemptions that allow those in power to evade taxes, and changing the laws to maintain their wealth and power. Regarding positions at prestigious US universities, distributed globally, positions that used to be filled through national scholarships to cultivate domestic talent have now changed to positions accessible only through letters of recommendation from powerful US figures. Did America not know that powerful figures emptying the pockets of their own citizens but also those of foreigners? Everyone who knows the situation is aware that Bush siphoned money from Korea like pocket money. Do you think he is the only one like that? Once you become a powerful figure in the US, you make money globally and become a billionaire, while the corrupt power figure around the world who collaborated with them maintain their wealth and power in their own countries. It benefits everyone. All the citizens are suffering unless the US changes it. It seems that corruption and its allies will continue as well. So brothers and sisters, please let me know what you all think about this video, right? As you know, I'm your host and presenter Hygienic Stories, but until then, let me see you on my next video.